5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All systems go with Josh Appelbaum starts now.
Hello and welcome to episode 471 of the All Systems Go Sports Betting Podcast, powered by Rhythm. I am your host, Josh Appelbaum. What's going on, everyone? Happy Tuesday. Another day here in the arena, guys, and another day of wall-to-wall college basketball conference tournament games. That's right. We've gone through the ups and downs of the regular season. We've gotten to the conference tournaments. Then before you know it, it'll be Selection Sunday. We'll be dusting off our contrarian brackets, which we talked about yesterday. Of course, starting in the middle, working your way in and then going out, picking a different champion. And I got to tell you guys, Florida. I'm kind of looking at Florida if you're looking for a contrarian champion. I don't know, something about them. The analytics love them, and obviously won it last year. So we'll get to that, of course, when we get closer to March Madness, or officially March Madness with the NCAA tournament. But you know what? I'm not counting down until March Madness. It's coming. We don't have to wait too much longer. Let's try to make the most of conference tournament week because, again, a lot of money-making opportunities. We got neutral site games. We got good sharp line moves, rhythm system matches, as well as juice reel, sharp mush edges. So let's see if we can have another winning day here in the conference tournament arena. With that being said, I do have a 3-pack of plays for you. So we're going to talk once again about 3 short money line favorites. I got a dog to fave line move. I have 2 short money line favorites, one of which is the ACC tournament, another one in the Big Sky. And we got a 7 o'clock, a 9 o'clock. And guys, this one might be tough for me. I got an 11:30 p.m. Eastern time tip. Another Big Sky matchup here. So big night tonight, but we can space out these games. I'm weird. I'm superstitious, but I always love it when, and I don't try, again, I'm not saying oh, I got to bet a 7 and 9 and 11:30. If all 3 of the top system matches are at 7 o'clock, hey, we'll sweat them all, figure out a way to, have one on the TV, one on the iPad, stat tracking another one on our phone. But it's always nice when it just happens to break up a little bit like that so we can focus all of our attention, all of our superstitions on that one game that we can sweat one by one. So a 3-pack tonight, guys. You know the drill. Trying to go 2-1, eke out a winning day. Now, let me ask you this. What's better than 2-1, eking out a winning day? It's a 3-0, a sweep. Bust out the brooms yesterday, guys. A fantastic start to conference tournament week because we cashed all 3 of our plays. We got Monmouth coming through. First play of the night. Remember, they beat Campbell. They're -1 up to -1.5, got as high as 2.5. They came through and won 74-64. That also featured a 25% sharp mush edge. So this is why I always highlight these sharp mush edges from Juice Reel. It's just kind of a last little box to check. If I can log into Juice Reel and notice that all the sharper, winning bettors on Juice Reel are also on the same side as me, that's a good thing. And remember, we're not trying to be with the crowd. We're trying to be against the crowd, the betting public crowd, but we want to be with the sharp money, the winning bettors. So that's what the sharp mush edge identifies. So nice hit there with Monmouth coming through. I also loved Texas A&M Corpus Christi because that was an added extra game, tiny little matchup, but a pretty clear -2 up to -3 or 2.5. So a good line move there. Came through with the Islanders, which was nice to see. And then the one that I loved the most was Wright State, baby, because Wright State was one of our favorite system matches. Dog to fave line move opened up Wright State getting a 1.5, flipped to Wright State -1.5, and they were able to win 103-90 in a high-scoring game. So nice little 3-0 plus 2.34 unit night to start off our conference tournament week. And of course, the challenge in sports betting, guys. Every day is a challenge to try to produce a winning day, but it's always nice when you have a challenge of trying to produce another winning day versus the challenge of a losing night and trying to get back into the green. So let's see if we can keep it rolling here for today with another 3-pack of conference tournament games. So that being said, let's waste no more time. Talk about our 3 plays here for tonight. So first bet on the board for me, let's go to a 7 o'clock tip in the ACC tournament first round, looking at Wake Forest playing Virginia Tech. Let's talk line movement, splits, system matches, set the stage. I'll mention my play here for this first game on the board. So setting the stage, we got Wake coming in 16-15 on the year. They are the 13 seed, but they have won 2 of their last 3. Just beat California 80-73 in the final game of the regular season. They covered as a 6-point home favorite. On the other hand, Vatek, 19-12 on the year. They are the 12 seed, but they did just drop 2 of their last 3. Came up short against Virginia, 76-72 in their regular season finale, but actually played pretty well. They were 11.5-point road dog, kept it close, only lost by 4. So a loss, but against a good opponent, covered the number. Now, what have we seen across the board here? Well, this game opened with Vatek listed as low as a 2-point neutral site favorite. And what have we seen from a market perspective? All movement and liability kind of sneakily on the side of Vatek, because Vatek went from -2 up to -2.5. And if you look at the -2.5s right now, great part of the Odds Logic Live Odds page, which I always mention to you guys, is you can look at the juice and then the line history. You can just tap the box that shows you any odds for any game. It'll pull up the complete line history, and you can look at, okay, some books were 2 up to 2.5, some are 2.5, still 2.5. But let's look at every move in between. Let's look at where the juice is, because that tells you more information, more insight into where the liability is. So what I noticed is that with Vatek, -2.5, a lot of them are being juiced up -115. I believe one book might have even touched 3. So this line never got down to 1.5 or lower. It was 2 up to 2.5. And the juice, they're making you pay the more expensive price here with the VIG on Vatek. So these are just some quick little things that we've noticed here to lean us toward Vatek. Now, let's go over to the bet splits. Bet splits look really good on the Hokies here. At DraftKings, Vatek, 76% of spread bets, 81% of spread dollars. Then we go to Circa, 71% of spread bets, over 90% of spread dollars. So we got the line movement, juice liability toward Vatek. We got low bets, higher dollars on Vatek at both DraftKings and Circa. And again, Circa's big to me because it's a really sharp book out in Vegas. So if they got a good split, tells me the wise guy action in the desert is also in your favor. Now, KenPom does have Vatek winning by 2, 77-75. He also does have the Hokies ranked, I guess you could say, quite a bit higher, 56th in the country versus 75th for Wake Forest. But you guys know the drill. I'm not laying a 2.5 here, having to sweat out at the very end a free throw or a comeback or a layup and win by 1 or 2 and lose my bet. So I did go money line here with Virginia Tech. Got Vatek -145 at Caesars. Shop around because some books are closer to -150 at this point. But once again, good bet splits on the Vatek money line. At DraftKings, 80% money line bets, 88% money line dollars, and then at Circa, 67% money line bets, over 90% of money line dollars. So once again, low bets, higher dollar split on a straight up Hokies victory. Now, Vatek has a few advantages that jumped out to me. One, they got the better defensive efficiency, 61st in the country versus 97th for Wake Forest. They shoot the 3 quite a bit better, 85th in the country versus 170th for Wake. And Vatek holds their opponents to a better effective field goal percentage. They make it harder for the opponent to make their shots. They rank 131st versus 230th. So first bet on the board, again, first game here in the ACC tournament. We got all movement and liability, bet splits, stat advantages, system matches, KenPom, all saying Vatek should win this game. So again, you want to lay the 2.5, save some juice. I hope you win, but this is a money line play for me. Let's protect ourselves. I went Hokies, hopefully to start our night off with a winner. Money line, Vatek, -145. Now let's go to the Big Sky and talk some late games here. If you're like me on the East Coast, it's going to be a late night, but I wouldn't have it any other way. 9 p.m. Eastern time tip, Montana versus Portland State. Now, this is the Big Sky tournament semifinal. We have Montana coming in 17-15 on the year. They are the 4 seed. They just beat Northern Colorado 95-89 in yesterday's third round matchup. They won outright as a 4-point neutral site dog. Meanwhile, Portland State 20-10 on the year. They are the 1 seed in this tournament. Just held off Idaho State 85-78 in the second round, covered as a 5.5-point neutral site favorite. So what have we seen across the market here? Well, this game opened with Portland State listed as a 2 or 2.5-point neutral site favorite, and we've seen nothing but movement and liability on Portland State. I think if you like Vatek, you like Portland State here because Portland State is getting juiced up -2.5, -115, and I'm actually seeing a few books now go to -3. So all movement liability on Portland State. We've never seen this line get down to 1.5 or lower. Tells me, reading between the lines, that the smart money is laying it here with Portland State. Now, the bet split at Circa is really, really sharp. So sharp, I cut my finger on it and bled all over my keyboard. Just kidding, I didn't. But it was sharp because At Circa, only 20% of spread bets are backing Portland State, but it accounts for 54% of spread dollars. So that's a pretty good low bets, higher dollar split. So it tells me the pros out in Vegas laying it here with Portland State. Now, Ken Palm does have Portland State winning, but only by 2 points, 72-70. So I'm not laying a 2.5 or a 3 and having to eke out a 3 or a 4 point win. So I did go money line here with Portland State. I got Portland State minus 145 at the score, but shop around. Some other books are minus 150 as high as minus 155. Ken Palm had a 2-point win, but he did have the Vikings ranked higher, 141st in the country versus 182nd for the Grizz. Portland State, some advantages that jumped out to me looking at the Ken Palm fan match tab. Again, click the final score. It'll give you all these head-to-head breakdowns for each stat category. But Portland State, get a load of this. They have the better defensive efficiency, 46th in the country versus 162nd. They have the better offensive rebound percentage, 221st versus 334th. They limit their opponents to a better effective field goal percentage, making it harder to make your shots. 48th in the country versus 179th for Montana. And they force more turnovers on defense. Can you turn the other team over, get out in the fast break? Can you demoralize your opponent? Because, again, committing mistakes is a good recipe for losing, and forcing mistakes, good recipe for winning. But you do have Portland State ranking 114th in the country in forced turnovers versus 316th for Montana. A couple other advantages. Portland State does have a rest versus tired advantage. When we get into these conference tournament, guys, don't just assume every team played yesterday. Look to see if one team's got an extra day of rest, because Portland State is coming off a day off. They last played on March 8th, which was, Sunday, versus the Montana Grizzlies, who played yesterday. So Montana is on the second leg of a back-to-back. Portland is coming off a day off. So rest versus tired advantage for Portland State. And also, this makes me a little nervous, but also makes me kind of excited. Believe it or not, these teams played, not believe it or not, obvious, but they played 2 games in the regular season, but Montana won both games. Montana won 64-60 and 74-68. So I look at this as extra motivation for Portland State. Again, conference tournament time. You're 0-2 against this team. Let's enact some revenge. You remember those losses. You want to repay the favor. I guess it makes me scared because you could also look at it and make the case that, Montana has Portland State's number. But the other angle to me is conference opponent. It's really hard to win all 3 games. So I'm going to bank on the former, not the latter, where a revenge play hopefully benefits Portland State. So line movement toward Portland State, great bet splits, revenge angle, rest versus tired, splits and stats are in our favor. And then lastly, I noticed a 30%, pretty big, 30% sharp mush edge in favor of Portland State from our friends at Juice Reel. And our friends at Rhythm have Portland State minus 3.2. So hopefully an edge there on the 2.5. Again, this line does look like it's creeping up to 3, though. So second play of the night for me, I'm going Portland State, who are, what was I going to say they are? I thought they were the Pilots. That's Portland Pilots. They are the Vikings. So let's go Portland State Vikings. You're the top seed. Let's get it done. Rested. I'm on Portland State money line, minus 145. Now, for the last bet of the night, a late night sweat here. We'll be sweating it until the wee hours of the morning. Idaho against Eastern Washington, 11:30 p.m. tip. Once again, this is the Big Sky Tournament semifinal. So, setting the stage for this one, Idaho comes in 19-14 on the year. They're the 7 seed, just edged Montana State 78-74 in the second round. They covered as a 1.5-point neutral site favorite. Meanwhile, Eastern Washington 14-18 on the year. They are the 3 seed, just took down Weber State 84-79 in yesterday's third round, covered as a 3.5-point neutral site favorite. So what have we seen across the market here? Well, this game opened with Eastern Washington listed as a 1.5-point neutral site favorite. Now, let me stop right here. You might be saying, why is Eastern Washington the 3 seed if they're 14-18? And why is Idaho the 7 seed if they're 19-14? Well, remember, the seeding is based on your conference tournament record. So that's why Eastern Washington, despite the worst record, is the higher seed. Now, the public, I don't know if they're just looking at maybe the seeds and just taking the higher seeded team, because the public is backing Eastern Washington. We are currently looking at upwards of 60% of spread bets at DK backing Eastern Washington. However, we have a dog to fave line move. Woo, woo! Sound that alarm. This reminds me quite a bit of Wright State from yesterday. Remember Wright State going dog to fave. But we got a dog to fave toward Idaho. The Vandals, baby. The pump don't work because the Vandals took the handles. Let's go. Idaho went from plus 1.5 to now minus 1.5. So a true reverse line move because public's on Eastern Washington, but line flip to Idaho. And once again, dog to fave line move. Takes a lot of big money to flip the designation of who should be favored. If we get into the splits, they look even sharper on Idaho. 42% spread bets, 75% spread dollars at DK. At Circa, 33% spread bets, over 90% of dollars. So both DraftKings and Circa have a really good, sharp, low bets, higher dollar split in favor of Idaho, which corresponds with Idaho dog to fave line move. So we're starting to line up some angles here. Now, Ken Palm has Idaho winning, but only by 1 point, 78-77. So you guessed it. This is a money line play for me. I got Idaho at minus 120 on the money line. And reminder, this was a minus 1.5 Eastern Washington. It's flipped to Idaho, but split the difference. It's a close game. So odds makers are telling you it could be a 1 point win either way. That's why I want to go Idaho money line. That way, if they win by 1, we cash our money line bet. But I really like the splits at DraftKings. 46% money line bets, 75% money line dollars coming in here on Idaho. So another good split just to win the game straight up. Idaho has a few advantages. Better defensive efficiency, 153rd in the country versus 254th for Eastern Washington. Idaho commits fewer turnovers on offense, so they take better care of the ball, 87th versus 259th. They hold their opponents to a better effective field goal percentage, making it harder for their opponent to make their shots. They rank 148th versus 325th for EWash, and they allow fewer offensive rebounds to their opponents. So protect the rim, don't give up second chances. They rank 6th best in the country versus 217th for EWash. A couple other advantages. I was digging into the site of this game, and it's being played at the Idaho Central Arena in Boise, Idaho. So Idaho has kind of a de facto home court advantage here. Remember, Eastern Washington, state of Washington, so your fans got to travel. Idaho, it's not technically a home game, but it's kind of a home game. So hopefully that's an advantage there toward Idaho with the crowd behind you. Vandals also rest versus tired edge because Idaho played last played on March 8th versus Eastern Washington, who's now playing the second leg of a back-to-back. So we have a dog to fave line move. We got great contrarian RLM bet splits. We got good system matches, stat advantages, de facto home court advantage, rest versus tired. And then, oh, by the way, Rhythm has a minus 1.9 on Idaho. So technically a slight edge on the 1.5, but I'll take that as an edge on the money line. And then, oh, by the way, Rhythm has an official Green Star Smart Signal, that little green lightning bolt. You love to see it if that's on the side that you're on anyway. But that is a Green Star Smart Signal money line recommendation on Idaho. So the Sharp AI model from Rhythm is telling you to take Idaho to win this game. So last bet of the night for me, it's going to take us into tomorrow because it's a late one. Idaho Vandals money line, minus 120. So Virginia Tech, Portland State, Idaho, all 3 money line plays. Let's try to get 2 out of 3, eke out a winning night. So that about does it for episode 471 of the All Systems Go Sports Betting Pod. But of course, this is the part of the pod where we wrap things up and I give you a few recommendations, a couple tips, a couple things to leave you with. So first off, I always want to say thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for taking the time out of your day, out of your busy lives to pull up a chair to the virtual bar and sweat some sharp, data-driven breakdowns with me. If you would like to help me grow this podcast, if you enjoy the insights, you want to prop up the pod, give it a little boost, pump the tires of the ASG pod, I would love for you to do any of these things. One, you could give the pod a 5-star review on Spotify or iTunes. Leave a nice comment under the review section. If you want to click the follow button, that way you get a pop-up on your phone as soon as the pod drops each day. Recommend the pod to a friend. Retweet the pod when I put it out on Twitter. Any or all of those things would be very much appreciated. Next, if you enjoy this style of data-driven sports betting, focusing on line movement, bet split, system matches, focusing on the numbers, not our opinions, leaving our opinions at the door, going off what the numbers and the money and the splits and the percentages say. If this style of betting has appealed to you, it's hopefully helped you to cash some tickets. It's provided you a blueprint to attack the sports betting market. And maybe you want to let me know you appreciate the pod, or you'd like to learn more about data-driven betting, or you have someone in your life who could use some data-driven tips, then I would love for you to go to Amazon.com and type in the NFL Sharp Betting Playbook or type in the Everything Guide to Sports Betting. Those are the 2 books that I've written. Very proud of both. But if you want to grab one or both of them from Amazon, give them a 5-star review, little note there too if you want to be a hero. But bring them to the sports book. I'll sign them for you. I'll buy you a beer or a ginger ale. We'll sweat some games together. Next, have you downloaded Rhythm and Juice Reel yet? They're my 2 favorite sports betting apps. I use them as cherries on top. And they're great because they're all about the data, the numbers, the AI-backed predictions. So Rhythm, fantastic job of powering this pod. They give us the great AI-backed models and predictions for game bets and player props. And then Juice Reel. So many great features of Juice Reel. You can sync up your sports books, get a running report card of your action. You can get the sweat meter when you're sweating a game. But then also you're going to get the Robo Jackson best bet picks, the Sharp Mush indicators, the arbitrage plays, the shop for the best line futures. And then, of course, if you would like to support the pod, you want to tip your podcast host, this pod is free. If I've helped you learn a few things about betting, cash some tickets, hopefully, I would love for you to support the pod by signing up to get the ASG best bet picks exclusively from Juice Reel. Every pick that we talk about, every best bet, as soon as I play it, it goes right to the Juice Reel podcast page for the ASG pod, and you can tail fade, do whatever you like, but hopefully you can also get the plays early, beat some closing numbers. And again, I consider it a tip jar. So pass into the hat, you drop in a $5 bill, $4.99 a week, $4.99 a week. You'll get every play as soon as I make them. And I want to thank everyone who has and is currently signed up for those best bet picks. I appreciate it. While you're at it, give Juice Reel and Rhythm a 5-star review in the App Store. Next, do you have a live odds page? Well, if you don't have one, you need one. It's such a critical tool. It's so important because you got to be able to track the market. You got to get away from the noise, find the signal, get every game on the board, start times, live scoring, live in-game wagering odds, but really all the research you're doing throughout the day before you make your bet. Again, the live odds page is critical, so it'll give you the opening column, for the opening number for every game, then all the current odds to the right. You can immediately see which direction the line has moved, identify steam when odds get lit up in red, pull up the line history, and always shop for the best price. So find the book. You know, if you're looking to bet a team at minus 120 on the money line, maybe you'll find a book where it's minus 115. Or you're looking at a favorite minus 3, find the favorite minus 2.5. You want to bet the under 150, find a book giving you under 150.5. It makes a big, big difference here. So if you'd like to give Odds Logic a shot, I think you're going to like it. In fact, I know you'll like it because it's the best live odds page around. Clean, crisp, easy to use, updates in real time, all the major books. But if you want to give it a shot, use this special link, oddslogic.com/Josh123. That'll give you a 7-day free trial and 50% off your first month of service. So that about does it for episode 471 of the ASG pod. As always, 2 final thoughts to leave you with. 1, whether I see you at the Borgata in Atlantic City, Twin River in Rhode Island, the Brook in New Hampshire, Foxwoods or Mohegan Sun down in Connecticut, at the Encore in Boston, Plainridge Park Casino, MGM Springfield, or the Nash in my neck of the woods on the border of Massachusetts and New Hampshire, or out in the desert where the true grinders get down, where Billy Walter sends his number runners, where the lowest juice possible is found at the South Point, or Sweat and Sharp contrarian plays, jumping in the stadium swim pool when you cash a big ticket at Circa, wherever it may be, you're going to walk up to me, and we're going to see each other at opposite ends of the sports book. We're going to knock on the janitor's closet, grab a broom, little Fred Astaire dance, and we're going to enjoy our sweep last night. So you're going to show me a Wright State ticket, a Monmouth ticket, a Texas A&M Corpus Christi ticket. Guess what? First one's on me. Next one's on you. We'll post about the book. Sweat some Sharp contrarian plays once again here for tonight. So that about does it, guys. As always, coming off a 3-0 or an 0-3, a 2-1 or a 1-2, a winning night, a losing night, a hot streak, a cold streak. Again, we can never let the previous day, talk us into or out of a bet. We just got to stick to the model, stick to the blueprint, even keeled, never get too high or too low, and play the system matches. Avoid the games with red flags, but fearless but disciplined and getting down on the games that check off the boxes for us. And those boxes are teams or games that fit our model, which are against the public, with the house, with the pros, flat bet, avoid parlays, and get that CLV. If we can do that, we're going to be successful sports bettors. So I hope everyone has a great Tuesday. Enjoy the college hoop sweats, guys, and I'll be right back at it tomorrow for a little hump day edition. That'll be a Wednesday edition, episode 472 of the All Systems Go Sports Betting Podcast, powered by Rhythm. Good luck, everybody, and enjoy the conference tournament.